Fear is not your enemy, it is your test. Every person feels it, most surrender to it, but a rare few rise above it and break its hold forever. The difference is not in talent or luck. It's in understanding the mechanics of fear and applying unshakable principles to conquer it. Fear survives in silence, in hesitation, in ignorance. It thrives where purpose is weak and action is absent. But once you learn to confront it with clarity, discipline, movement, and faith, fear begins to crumble. Your purpose is foundless. When faith is untested, it movement. And faith fails to face destiny because it wants to be still. Your purpose is foundless. Your purpose is not in faith, but in faith. Faith fills with a belief in faithlessness and the fear it infects. It fills with a belief in faithlessness and the fear it infects. It fills with a belief in faithlessness and the fear it infects. It fills with a belief in faithlessness and the fear it infects. Your faith is the fuel that it feeds on defeat, and the fear that it feeds on victory. This is a battle that must be fought from the inside out. What follows is not theory. It's a blueprint. It's a path carved by those who refuse to kneel to fear. If you are ready to stop being its prisoner and start being its master, then what you're about to absorb will change the way you walk, speak, act, and lead. This is how fear is destroyed. Not temporarily, but forever. Fear has no substance of its own. It does not reside in the wind, nor in the thunder, nor in the circumstances that surround your life. Fear is created solely in the workshop of your mind. It is a phantom that you have granted permission to live within you. When you analyze it, you find it is nothing but a thought, a picture you've painted using imagination, colored with negative emotion. And what the mind can create, it can also destroy. The moment you accept this, you stop treating fear as an external force. To begin to realize it was never something you had to run from, only something you needed to face and outthink. The tragedy of most men is that they mistake the shadow for the monster. They see failure before it arrives. They tremble at rejection before a word is spoken. They anticipate loss before they even possess what they want. This is fear's great deception, to convince you that the imagined danger is real. But pause and ask yourself, how many times has what you feared actually come to pass? And when it did, was it truly as terrible as you had imagined? You'll find the answer humbling. 90% of fear lives in the world of what if. It is not the event that tortures you, it is your belief about the event. A man who understands the origin of fear begins to reclaim his power. He no longer bows before uncertainty. He no longer allows his brain to run wild with assumptions, worst-case scenarios, and fabricated terrors. He sits still, examines the fear, and asks the hard questions. Is this true? Can this harm me? And most important, what part of this is within my control? The moment you confront fear with logic and truth, its spell weakens. You discover that what once felt like a mountain is really a mirage. The moment fear is studied, it begins to shrink. Ignorance fuels fear. Understanding extinguishes it. You were not born afraid. Look at a child. They touch fire. They jump. They fall. They rise. Fear is not instinct. It is instruction. You were taught to be afraid by experience, by failure, by the fears of others handed down to you like a legacy. But what can be taught can also be unlearned. You must recognize fear as a parasite that grew inside you because you fed it with attention, repetition, and belief. Now you must starve it. Refuse to give it the nourishment of your imagination. Withdraw your emotional investment from things that have not happened yet. Fear cannot grow where it is not fed. Thought, in its purest form, is neutral. You are the one who gives it form, direction, and energy. When thought is guided by purpose, it becomes power. But when it is corrupted by fear, it becomes poison. The mind that is not governed by will becomes a slave to emotion. If you do not train your thoughts, they will train you to be small. They will train you to expect danger where there is only opportunity. If you desire freedom, you must become the master of your thoughts. That is the battlefield. That is where fear must be defeated. Not outside, but within. You may say, but I feel fear in my body. It must be real. That's the echo of your thoughts made physical. The racing heart, the shallow breath, the tightened muscles. These are your body reacting to signals sent by your mind. Change the signal, and the body obeys. Just as you can calm a stormy sea with the right tools, you can calm your nerves by changing your inner dialogue. Tell yourself, this is only a thought. I am not in danger. I am in control. Say it again and again until the body believes it. Say it with authority until the fear dissolves in the face of your command. Every thought you entertain either strengthens you or weakens you. Choose carefully. Do not allow fear to rent space in your mind without demanding proof. Do not let your imagination become a crime scene where you replay every possible loss and failure. Direct your imagination toward what you desire, not what you dread. Because the truth is this: fear and faith use the same mental muscle. Belief in the unseen. One builds, the other destroys. One expands you, the other paralyzes. If you must imagine, imagine powerfully. Let your vision pull you forward with strength, not trap you in illusion. The greatest mistake men make is believing that fear is permanent. It is not. Fear is a guest, not a master. It knocks at the door of your mind and waits to be let in. But you hold the key. You decide what enters your mind and what stays. You decide what thought is worthy of repetition, and the repeated thought becomes belief, and belief becomes your reality. So if you wish to destroy fear forever, stop bowing to it. Stop believing it has power. Stop calling it a monster when it is only a thought in disguise. You created it. Now destroy it. A man who walks without direction is prey to every wind of doubt. He wakes up unsure, he speaks with hesitation, and he acts with timid uncertainty. Why? Because he has not made a firm decision about where he is going. And where there is no direction, fear creeps in like a thief. It whispers questions he cannot answer. What if it doesn't work? What if I fail? What if they laugh? But these questions only exist in the minds of the aimless. When a man declares with absolute clarity what he intends to accomplish, fear has no foothold. Certainty replaces speculation, decision replaces confusion, and the fog of fear begins to lift. Definiteness of purpose is not just having a goal. It is the burning obsession to reach it, backed by unshakable belief. It is the decision, made once and for all, that nothing will stand in your way. When your mind is locked on a definite objective, your energy stops leaking into irrelevant fears. You no longer waste time debating what might happen, because your focus is fixed on making it happen. Your whole focus becomes making it happen. And the moment the fear comes in, your focus is fixed on making it happen. Fear thrives in the undecided mind. But when the decision is final, fear is dismissed as a distraction. Like a general marching to battle with a war plan in hand, the man of purpose does not entertain retreat. Every time you doubt your path, you open the door to fear. But purpose silences the doubt before it speaks. Purpose speaks louder. It commands the mind, directs the body, and organizes the emotions. The man who is definite in his aim is immune to the paralysis of fear, because he no longer listens to it. He doesn't ask if the mountain is too high, he simply begins to climb. He doesn't seek permission, applause, or agreement. He moves with conviction, and in that conviction, fear cannot take root. Fear feeds on hesitation, but purpose moves too quickly for hesitation to catch up. Many live by accident. They drift from job to job, idea to idea, waiting for some external sign to guide them. This is a dangerous life. When you do not decide what you want, others will decide it for you, and fear will rule in the vacuum. But when you declare your mission, the universe begins to align. People, resources, and opportunities respond to a focused mind. But more importantly, your own inner forces become unified. No more division, no more contradiction. The man who knows his purpose no longer fears the opinions of others. He is too busy fulfilling his destiny to ask for approval. When you wake each day with a clear objective, fear loses its appeal. You no longer entertain thoughts of failure because your mind is occupied with progress. There is no room for fear in a schedule filled with intentional action. You do not have time to worry when every moment is used in service of your goal. This is the power of definiteness. It simplifies life. It eliminates distractions. It makes every decision easier. Does it serve the goal? If yes, proceed. If no, discard. Such clarity does not leave much space for fear to operate. It is squeezed out by the sheer force of focused effort. Fear hates responsibility. It thrives in the minds of those who wait, delay, and doubt. But purpose demands that you take responsibility for your outcomes. It demands that you own your decisions and stand behind them. The moment you do, you stop being a victim of circumstances. You become the architect of your life. And architects do not fear storms. They prepare for them. They build with intention. They create with foresight. So too, must you build your life on the firm foundation of purpose. Then, no matter how strong the winds of uncertainty, your structure will stand, unmoved by fear. You may say, "But I don't know my purpose." Then your only mission now is to discover it. Because a man without purpose is a ship without a rudder. doomed to drift and be destroyed by fear. You must search within. What makes you burn with passion? What would you do if you could not fail? What contribution would you make if time and money were no object? Ask, write, reflect, and when the answer comes, seize it with both hands. Bind it to your soul. Make it the centerpiece of your life. The moment you do, you will feel the shift. Fear will knock, but it will find no welcome. Definiteness of purpose is not a luxury. It is a necessity. It is the armor that protects you from fear. It is the compass that guides you through chaos. It is the force that drives you when motivation fades. And above all, it is the light that exposes fear for what it truly is, a weak opponent that only thrives in darkness. Once your purpose becomes your obsession, fear cannot dwell in your mind. It cannot thrive in a soul on fire. So declare your aim, burn the bridges behind you, and walk forward, not with trembling steps, but with the authority of a man who knows exactly where he is going. Fear cannot survive in motion. It feeds on hesitation. It thrives on stillness, but it withers the moment you move. You've felt it before, how the thought of doing something is more terrifying than doing it. You replay scenarios in your mind, each one darker than the last. And the longer you delay, the larger fear grows. But take the first step, and fear begins to shrink. Take the next, and it begins to vanish. Action is the antidote. It does not wait for permission. It does not negotiate with doubt. It charges forward, and in doing so, it renders fear powerless. Action is how you break fear's spell. No man ever eliminated fear by thinking alone. Reasoning with fear is like reasoning with a fire. It won't stop burning until you remove the fuel, and the fuel is inaction. You must act in the face of it. Even a small action creates momentum. Momentum becomes courage, and courage becomes confidence. A man who acts, even if imperfectly, builds proof that he can endure, succeed, and adapt. Each action tells the mind, I am in control, and control is the very thing fear tries to steal from you. Action reclaims it. It puts your hands back on the wheel of your destiny. You will never feel ready. The readiness you wait for is an illusion created by fear to delay your progress. Fear promises safety if you pause, but offers nothing in return but regret. The moment to act is always now. If you wait for fear to vanish before moving, you will stand still forever. Action is not the reward for courage, it is the cause of it. Courage grows when you do what you fear, not before. You don't need full confidence to take action. You only need enough courage to begin. Once you do, fear no longer leads. You do. When fear tightens its grip, it wants you frozen. It wants you silent, still, waiting for some sign that never comes. But the man who moves becomes unpredictable to fear. He acts before fear finishes its speech. He interrupts it with progress. He breaks its rhythm by doing what fear warned him not to do. This is power. Not because the man is fearless, but because he refuses to sit still and listen. He knows that even imperfect action defeats perfect fear. He is not obsessed with doing it right. He is obsessed with doing it now. And that makes him dangerous to fear. You must understand that fear often wears a disguise. It will appear as overthinking, as research, as planning, as the endless quest for more information. But none of those things mean progress unless they lead to action. You can prepare forever and still be ruled by fear. Action exposes fear's lie. It pulls back the curtain and shows you that the terror was never real, only imagined. The only way to test your fear is through movement. Plan if you must, but do not wait for a perfect plan. No plan survives the battlefield untouched. Act first, refine later. When you act, you force the universe to respond. You set events in motion. Opportunities emerge. People take notice. Fear cannot operate in this environment because it relies on stagnation. Action transforms your environment from passive to dynamic. It puts pressure on fear. It creates results, feedback, and momentum. All things fear cannot coexist with. The man who builds by doing, brick by brick, soon finds that fear has no place on his construction site. There is work to be done, and fear has nothing to contribute. He doesn't ask fear for advice. He's too busy building. Even failure in action is better than success in hesitation. A man who fails forward is further ahead than the one who never began. Action teaches. It refines. It makes the unknown known, and in that knowledge, fear dies. Because fear is strongest in the unknown, but once you've seen it, touched it, experienced it, it loses its mystique. You may fall, you may stumble, but you'll rise stronger, wiser, and more dangerous to fear. The fearful man stays safe but powerless. The man of action risks pain, but earns growth, clarity, and control. He becomes unstoppable, not because he avoids fear, but because he conquers it through movement. If you want to destroy fear, don't talk about it, move through it. Take the call, speak the truth, start the project, have the conversation, begin the journey. Every act of courage, no matter how small, chips away at fear's foundation. Do not sit and wait for the perfect time. That time does not exist. Act now. Act boldly. Act often. Because the man who acts is the man who wins. And the man who wins is not the one without fear, but the one who moves faster than it. You do not eliminate fear by studying it. You eliminate it by doing what it told you not to do. That is how action destroys fear. Forever. No man can master the world until he first masters himself. And no man can master himself without self-discipline. It is the foundation of all inner power. Without it, your talents are wasted, your time is lost, and your fear is given free rein. Discipline is the bridge between desire and achievement. It is the invisible force that keeps you moving when motivation fades. Discipline quiets the chaos inside you. It silences the voice that says, "Not today." It trains your body to obey your mind, and your mind to obey your purpose. Without this control, you become a servant to your moods. And fear thrives in undisciplined minds. The man who lacks discipline is easily swayed. He lets fear dictate his choices. He waits for confidence to act. He negotiates with temptation, listens to distraction, and believes every excuse his mind creates. But the disciplined man does not ask how he feels. He asks what must be done, and then he does it. Over and over, especially when he doesn't feel like it. That is the test. That is where strength is forged. Self-discipline is a war against comfort. And every time you win that war, your fear weakens. You gain ground in your mind. You become a man that fear cannot manipulate. Discipline is not about restriction. It is about freedom. It is the power to choose what serves you over what soothes you. Most people live as prisoners of impulse. They wake when they feel like it, speak when emotion controls them, and act only when convenient. But the disciplined man is different. He sets his schedule, defines his limits, and leads himself with clarity. He does not wait to feel ready. He creates readiness through repetition. He shows up to the task because it is required of him, and because of this he becomes dependable to himself. Self-trust is built one disciplined decision at a time. Fear loses its voice in the presence of consistency. Every time you rise at the hour you declared, complete the task you committed to, or resist the urge you overcame, you build evidence that you are in control. And fear hates that. It wants you disorganized, emotional, and erratic. But a man with discipline becomes immune to fear's tactics. He does not crumble in chaos. He becomes calm in it. He has practiced control in private, so he commands respect in public. His emotions do not own him. His cravings do not master him. And because of this, he becomes unshakable. The truth is, discipline sharpens your mind like steel. It develops clarity, stamina, and resilience. It removes the noise that fear hides behind. Where others waste hours wrestling with indecision, the disciplined man executes. He does not fear failure, for he knows action refines him. He does not fear pain, because he is trained through it. He does not fear opposition, because he has battled the greatest enemy already, himself. Discipline gives him a clean conscience, a steady hand, and an inner voice that says, "You can endure more than this." That voice cannot be bought. It must be earned in silence, through effort, daily. Do not believe the lie that discipline is a gift others have. It is a skill, forged by repetition. You build it each time you keep your word to yourself, each time you push through fatigue, each time you choose growth over ease. Most men lose to fear because they are soft inside, not because they lack ability, but because they lack obedience to their own standards. The world does not break the strong, it breaks the weak-willed. Discipline is the hammer that hardens your will. It is the armor that guards your mind. Without it, fear will always find a way in. Discipline demands sacrifice. It costs comfort, indulgence, and convenience. But the return is far greater: power, control, and freedom from fear. The undisciplined man must run from pressure, avoid responsibility, and beg for motivation. The disciplined man needs none of that. He moves with certainty. He trusts his process, and in that trust, fear is denied its favorite weapon: doubt. Doubt dies where discipline lives, because when you have trained yourself to do what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like it, fear can't convince you otherwise. You know too much. You've proven too much. If you want to live free of fear, do not chase inspiration. Build discipline. Wake up before the world expects you. Work when others rest. Think when others react. Train your emotions like a soldier trains his weapon. precise, ready, under command. The man who has discipline cannot be manipulated. He is not governed by fear, because he governs himself. He does not panic in chaos, because he is built for it. He does not crumble in pressure, because pressure is his training ground. Discipline is the quiet force behind greatness. Build it, and fear will never again hold the reins of your life. The final weapon against fear is not found in books and strategy, or even in discipline alone. It is found deep within, in the unshakable belief that you are capable. Faith in yourself is the force that makes all other weapons effective. Without it, purpose wavers, action hesitates, and discipline collapses. But with it, mountains move. The man who believes in himself walks with power. He enters rooms with certainty. He takes risks others shy away from, not because he is arrogant, but because he knows his value. Fear cannot seduce a man who trusts his inner power more than the doubts of the world. Faith in yourself is not built on fantasy, it is earned. You earn it through every struggle you overcome, every failure you rise from, every promise you keep to yourself. It is not about being perfect. It is about being persistent. Each time you choose courage over comfort, you feed that faith. Each time you get back up, you prove to yourself that you are made of more than fear. You begin to understand that your setbacks do not define you. Your response does. That is the essence of self-faith, refusing to let fear write your story because you know who the author really is. The man with faith in himself becomes dangerous, not to others, but to fear. Because fear depends on your doubt to function. It whispers lies to you. You can't. You're not ready. You're not enough. But the man of faith does not engage with those lies. He knows they are illusions. He remembers the trials he survived, the storms he weathered, the fires he walked through. He knows what he's capable of because he has lived it. And when fear tries to return, he meets it with a voice stronger than doubt. I have already beaten worse. That confidence, earned through fire, terrifies fear. Faith in yourself does not mean you will never fall. It means you will rise every time. It means you will not define your future by a single loss or rejection. You will keep pushing, keep growing, keep believing, even when results are slow. The world may not see your value right away. Let them doubt. You are not here to convince them. You are here to convince yourself. Because the day you truly believe in your ability to overcome, build, achieve, and conquer, that is the day fear loses its last weapon. It cannot control a man who refuses to give up on himself. You must protect your self-faith like a treasure. Do not let others diminish it. Do not let failure dissolve it. Guard it from comparison, from criticism, from self-pity. Feed it daily with action, with positive command, with reminders of who you are becoming. When your mind tries to betray you, speak louder. When your fear screams, silence it with truth. Your greatest enemy is not the obstacle. It is the voice that says you can't face it. But if you command your mind with belief, that voice fades. Your belief becomes your shield. Your belief becomes your weapon. It is your final line of defense. The world has always tried to break the man who believes in himself. It fears what it cannot control. Society rewards obedience, not originality. But you were not built to blend in. You were built to stand out, to lead, to forge a path through chaos with conviction. That begins with faith. Faith that your thoughts matter, that your work matters, that your work matters, that your life matters, that your existence has purpose. When you embrace this belief, you become resilient. Attacks bounce off. Setbacks redirect, but do not derail. You become untouchable in spirit, and no fear can live in that kind of soul. Faith in yourself transforms your relationship with fear. You stop asking, what if I fail, and start asking, what if I fly? You stop shrinking in the face of challenge and begin to seek it. Because challenge becomes the proving ground of your strength. You begin to crave growth more than comfort, truth more than approval. That is the shift. That is where fear loses its final grip. A man who believes in himself does not need permission. He does not wait to be chosen. He chooses himself, and that choice changes everything. Because the one who believes becomes. So the war with fear ends not when the fear disappears, but when you finally believe you are stronger than it. When you stop looking outside for validation and instead claim your power from within. That is where all greatness begins. Not in the absence of fear, but in the presence of belief. You may stumble, you may bleed, but you will never break. Because your faith is forged, not borrowed, built, not given. And that kind of faith is unstoppable. That kind of faith is eternal. It is the final weapon, the one fear cannot touch, the one that leads you to freedom, to purpose, to victory.